One of my formative gaming moments back in the 90s was when I booted up the original Resident Evil. It cemented not only my love for gaming, but a lifelong fandom of survival horror. I still go back and play the Saturn and PlayStation 1 titles from time to time, and as much as I love the remakes and modern games, that nostalgia hit still does it for me after all these years. And so, when Alisa, developers cut across my desk, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to check it out, and man am I glad I did. Alisa is, for all intents and purposes, a new old game. It may have been originally released back on PC in 2021, but everything about it is exactly how it would have been had it been released in the 90s. Pre-render backgrounds, tank controls, slightly awkward inventories and combat, B-movie story and performances, and even 480p 4:3 presentation. It's all here and correct. What this amounts to for me is a false feeling of nostalgia, but in all the best ways. I've had a fantastic time with the game over the last few weeks, and it's reminded me both how far we've come in the genre, as well as how it all started. Sure, younger players might find it a bit awkward, but persevere and you'll find there's a lot to like here. We play as Alisa, an officer on the hunt for some stolen blueprints and the culprit behind the theft. He escaped on a train, and so her fellow officers and her travelled the same track, taking it in turns to hop off each station to look around. After a short exploratory section, we find him, and Alisa chases him down by herself, only to be met with some disturbing looking creatures who drag her into an unknown underground area. From here, we are effectively in the game's version of the Spencer Mansion, albeit even more creepy and bizarre. Our first encounter is with a human-sized doll creature, but it's not long before we meet fishmen, metallic knights, clowns, ghosts and more. Those familiar with Resident Evil's tank controls and combat will be right at home here, with us being rooted to the spot when raising our firearm and having to contend with the static cameras making it harder to line up a shot. We do get a hand in the form of a target that lights up in the ammo counter box to let us know when we're aiming in the right direction at least, though some of the enemies move fast enough so it's not overly easy to rely on. Ammo and health are scarce and can be bought from the in-game store with tooth wheels collected from defeated enemies or found hidden in the mansion. While they're fairly generous in number, there's a lot they are used for which limits our ability to stock up on the essentials, from new weapons to upgrades to abilities, as well as the option to actually save the game. It pays to be mindful of how much we're spending, especially early on. Saving the game is a must too, as there's no autosave or checkpoints here, just like the good old days. I've clearly grown accustomed to this feature, as there were a few moments in Alisa where I became too brave, continuing on with the puzzle despite my intuition telling me there was danger ahead, only to die and have to redo the last 30 minutes again. Boss battles punctuate key moments, with 5 in total. These range from tense yet fair encounters to a motion sickness inducing affair that was far trickier than it needed to be late game. The final 3 are also in fairly quick succession, so be sure to take the time to travel back to a save point in between these. One of the trickier parts to judge in this style of game is when one will appear and how prepared we are. The second fight I went into with hardly any ammo and health, and promptly had no choice but to die and retry. Luckily, I'd saved recently. One slight concession to modern gamers is that there's no limited item inventory space. You can pick up and carry everything we come across in terms of key items, ammo and health. We are limited to 2 weapon slots and 1 outfit though, with these swapped out at the save point locations. Quick pro tip for you, grab that sword early. I put it off figuring it'd be useless, but it turned out to be my most used weapon by the end. Outfit swaps are pricier, but can offer some great advantages such as better damage resistant, faster reloading or more efficient healing. We can even remove it from Alisa and leave her in her undergarments, cheeky, which has the benefit of letting her swim faster in a certain section of the game. In being so true to the old days, Alisa also falls foul of a few of the issues of the era. There's a lot of backtracking and routes that require certain keys to open, but this isn't noted on the map. I got stumped a few times partly due to this, and partly because I'm playing too many of the games at once, but it'd have been a nice touch to note which key is needed where to save us running all over the place every time we got a new one. The mansion and surrounding areas can also get a bit laborious to traverse at times, with one section stopping us from doing a 5-second walk by a blocked door, meaning we need to take a good few minutes to go the long way around. A handful of times my game froze when entering the item closet to change weapons, forcing a restart from a previous save. Not ideal if you've not saved recently, and while the enemies can take some serious punishment, most of them can be cheesed by simply running past and using the sword for a few slashes before rinsing and repeating. All but the boss characters don't seem to be able to handle us moving slightly to their side, and as such most fights end up more a case of attrition than a fight for survival. But how much the above will negatively impact your experience is most likely about how well versed you are in the older survival horror title. While I noticed all of the above enough to mention them, I can't really say they ruined my time with Alisa. They more just made me appreciate some of the quality of life things we've come to expect. It's a game that even as I'm speaking, I'm tempted to load up again and go and make use of the New Game Plus option and see if I can get through it faster or with a different ending, as much as I used to do with the old Resident Evil. It's been a weird sensation to have nostalgia for a new game, but Alisa has had that exact effect on me. Overall then, Alisa is as retro accurate as they come despite being a modern release, and it's a brilliant reminder of how we used to play, though also some of the limitations we used to work under. One for older gamers who grew up with the birth of survival horror, but also new players looking to get a taste of where it all began. Highly recommended, go check it out.